perspective, they have done in 2 weeks what normally takes 3 months or more to get done. So they are out there in this weather doing what they can all the way up to the last minute. And I believe it was 26,000 cubic yards of debris. So doing their best on that. As I said, they're going to stop with the collections today. Sandbag sites locations are closed. The city garages, again, we're leaving those open. You don't have much time if you don't do it in the next hour or so. You can put your electric vehicles up high. Make sure you are elevating all those electric batteries, electric items as well, because you know those batteries, once they start on fire, they cannot be extinguished. And we lost a lot of houses in the last storm based on that. So thank you all. I have never seen an evacuation of this magnitude, and our community has responded and responded very, very responsibly. So thank you for that. We are prepared for the storm. Worst case scenario is it is a bit north of the Tampa Bay area. Best case scenario is it is a bit south, but that is still not a good scenario. This is going to be a storm of historic proportions with wind, water, and rain. But we will get through this together, and we will come back stronger. Now I'd like to have comments from the Chair of City Council, Guido Maniscalco.
Yeah, we're going to take it back from here because, and we want to thank the mayor and everything they're doing in Hillsborough County as well, because we have our first tornado warning of the day, and this is coming in a place that we've already had a confirmed tornado, Jim. So this is headed into Highlands County.
Yeah, we've watched a number of these cells working their way down to our south across Alligator Alley, a number of confirmed tornado warnings, and you can see this area that we're talking about. This is now working its way into southern Highlands County. So just putting some of the cities across central and southern Highlands County. This is moving to the northwest very quickly, 35 miles an hour. This is a radar indicated. We did have a signature in here and earlier of a confirmed tornado. So if you're in this area down across central and southern Highlands County inside this warning, essentially from Lake Placid to the south, you want to go to that safe location in your house, because we do have a storm and a tornado that has been confirmed earlier that is working its way up in this direction. And this is very quick moving. You flip over and you look at the reflectivity, and you can really see that hook in there as well, which is
those
disturbing.
towns that Jim put there in the bottom left, that gives you how many minutes until, if this thing is on the ground, if it holds together, it's going to get to you. So again, we're talking about Highlands County now. This is just the first of what honestly we believe is going to be a lot. It'll be a lot of tornado warnings. There's another one in Charlotte County as well, and that's encompassing that huge area of rain that we've been showing you pushing on shore. And it wouldn't surprise me, Jim, as that moves northward, if that doesn't start to impact Sarasota County with warnings as well.
Yeah, I really do think that we're going to see more and more of these warnings, and this is something I know you and Valerie have been talking about this through the morning. We've been watching this line, this very intense line. If you go out a little bit wider on this, you can see how it is just that one of these spiral bands that's just going to continue to work its way on shore. So places like Sarasota County, I mean, it could be really in the next 20, 30 minutes that we start to see some of this activity working its way along there. And this is all well in advance of the really strong winds that we're going to see later on today. But we have that threat right now, the immediate threat of these bands, these outer bands that work their way through, and you get these quick spin-up tornadoes, and it's going to be just a really bad afternoon, it looks like.
I don't think I've ever seen a tornado warning on the east side of Lake Okeechobee and then another one on the west side of Lake Okeechobee. But there is the case. You have two distinct tornadoes, one on either side of the lake. The atmosphere and the way that it's all spinning, it's very violent right now. And that type of atmosphere is moving up to the north, which is why we're beginning to get the warnings in Highlands County. And then Hardy County, DeSoto County, well, you don't have any warnings yet. We're likely to see these as they continue to move to the north. It's a multifaceted storm, and I know we've been focusing on landfall, storm surge, but before we get to that, we've got these tornadoes, which are initially kind of kicking off the whole event, I think, for the area.
Yeah, and we just continue to see, when we look at that, what we call the rotation detector, we're definitely seeing a very definite signature of a rotation with this cell, and with it moving so quickly onto the north. This is gonna be something that gets here really before you know it. And so if you're in these central or southern portions of Highlands County, you want to get into that safe location, away from doors, away from windows, into the middle of the house on that lowest level.
And this is what I want. People are probably saying, well, you know, a lot of times you guys don't, you see these tornadoes, the radar indicates them, but they're not there. Well, listen, folks, that was from earlier. Maybe an hour ago in Palm Beach County. That is a confirmed tornado. Those are the types of tornadoes that this has been producing so far this morning. And I just wanted you to realize that when we tell you there's a tornado warning for Highlands County, folks, and it could look potentially something like that, I need you to get into that interior room, Jim.
And this was from a cluster, the same cluster of cells that we've been watching. So all these cells that were down across Alligator Alley that confirmed tornadoes down there, these are the same ones that are now moving up into our southern portions of our viewing area. I want to go ahead and just talk about some tornado safety really quickly here, just to give you an idea of where you want to be inside your house. So you want to go away from those, you want to go towards the interior location, avoid the windows in your house. So this is highlighted with that bathroom, so that's a really good place, right towards the center of your house in that lowest spot in your house.
For most people, that's a bathroom.
Yes.
It really is. And if it's a closet, I'm sure that it's probably not cleaned out enough for you to get in there. But for typically, yes, it is that interior room that we're looking for. You know, as Jim is bringing that radar back out, that vicious line of rain from Bradenton all the way down through Bonita Springs, there was no doubt there's got to be some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in there, okay? So the onset of the tropical storm force winds arriving now. The Sunshine Skyway is closed. Jim, we've got tornado warnings. It's all beginning to ramp up.
Yeah, and again, we've got this tornado warning for Highlands County. That goes until 12:30. Just so you know the timing on this, quite likely this could be extended. So if you're saying to northern and up in northern Highlands County into portions of, say, southern Polk County, you're not under a warning right now, but that is certainly something that you want to be watching if you're in these areas as we go through the next hour or so. But right along the coastline, even though Sarasota County down into Manatee County, you don't have any active tornado warnings, I want you to be careful at this point. This is not a point to be outside or really be venturing out at any point, because these strong bands have now worked their way into the area, and any one of these could really very quickly spin up a tornado. So you don't want to put yourself in harm's way by being too far away from your safe location.
That whole area that Jim has circled in the white, that oval, that in any one of those particular bands, cells, could be rotating. And that's what the big concern is. We saw them rotating when they were sitting out over the Gulf. So some of them are, and some of them have been, and that's why these tornado warnings are being issued. And again, all of this and that incredibly unstable atmosphere is lifting northward. And eventually it's going to get into Hardy County and northern Highlands, and then eventually into Polk County as well.
Yeah, exactly. And this is still, I mean, these are those bands, because as you measure where the actual center of this storm is, just off the coast, let's measure this, say from about Sarasota. We are looking, this is still 135 miles away. So these are those bands that are working their way through. And we're just starting to see more and more of the frequency of these bands working their way through. Sarasota down towards Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, that's where you see down towards Naples. That's where you're seeing already a number of tornado warnings. And then we've had those confirmed tornado warnings into the middle portion of the state.
I'm going to do a little calculation. Yeah. You keep talking. Keep talking. Okay, here we go.
That's what we call team effort here. So in the Highlands County, just once again, I want to kind of zoom in. We'll take a quick look here to see how this cell looks. And what you're really seeing here when we look at this, as I clear some of this off so we can get a better look at this, it looks like we've got yet another warning coming out just to the south of Highlands County, down into Glades County. It looks like this was just issued here, but just going in on this.
And not only that, but you can see the hook in that situation as well. And this is that video that we just showed you looked like this on radar. So what I'm trying to tell you is more than likely, and this is a confirmed tornado now, you see it in the purple there, as that is beginning to pinwheel and work its way toward the northwest. And I need my folks in Lake Placid in Lake Placid in Highlands County and right there along Highway 27, I need you to get into your safe spot, okay? Because there is more than likely a tornado on the ground to the southeast of you folks.
Yeah, what you're looking at right here, this is the debris detector, and you can see, this is why they are confirming this at this point, because what you're looking at right there, that is debris. That is debris being lofted up into the atmosphere, and we are now picking that up on radar. So that is debris. It looks like down here we have another signature. This is in the Glades County, so that is not in our viewing area, but this is quickly working its way up to the north as well. So this is going to start to work its way into southern Highlands County. But right there, you see it on radar. We have confirmation where we're actually picking up that debris, that signature right now. This is going to be working its way up into southern Highlands County. So if you're hearing this in Lake Placid or across southern Highlands County, and you're wondering, do I go ahead and go into that safe location? This is the time. Go in that safe location. If you're listening on your TV, just turn the volume up so you can hear us. But you want to go into that safe location because we have a confirmed tornado right here.
Boy, I tell you what, based on the looks of it and that debris detector, we got two.
Yes.
You got that one that Jim was just talking about southeast of Lake Placid, but the other one there east of LaBelle, showing that there is some debris being lofted as well. So you have two relatively close together tornadoes potentially on the ground here, and then another one in the east side of the lake. And this is what's going to happen on and off throughout the entire afternoon as we start to work our way toward the north. It's going to be these individual little isolated tornadoes or right along the coast within that main line of rain.
Yeah, and it's just going to be just more and more of this activity as we continue throughout the afternoon. We see a lot of these well out in advance. And that's exactly what we've got going on right now. Kind of flip back over and when we look at the velocities. And this is still, you look at that velocity, it's still holding together quite well. And this is a fair distance from the radar. So your signatures become a little bit harder to see just because you're so far from the radar. The actual beam is shooting up a little higher into the storm. But when you see a signature like this, this far from the radar, that gives you a really good indication. This is a pretty strong tornado. You see this down to our south as well. This is outside of our viewing area down towards Fort Myers and Cape Coral. But the issue is these are moving so quickly onto the north that any of these down here within 30 minutes could be up into our viewing area, into southern Sarasota County. So that's why we have to watch the activity down to our south as well that is outside of our area.
You know, what we're going to do in the next couple of minutes, we're going to put a track on this so that we can kind of track it up toward Lake Placid and maybe see what towns are in the way. But Jim made a really good point with the radar being as far away as it is, and we can see a signature over southeast of Lake Placid. Okay, a signature that strong. Yeah, there is something on the ground there, and something that obviously everybody in this area needs to look out for, needs to get into that safe spot. So put a track on the storm, Jim, and that's going to take us up to Sebring in about 55 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm not saying it's going to make it all the way there. We have to wait and see, does this hold together? But this cell, it's really shown this signature for quite some time. So I know this warning goes till 12:30 for another 30 minutes, but if you're up towards Sebring, over towards Cruiseville, Plains, these are areas that you want to be going ahead and taking cover pretty soon here because you could find yourself under a tornado warning fairly soon with this.
I mean, we're kind of at the point now, we've been telling everybody around lunchtime, be where you're going to be, and I'm hoping that even though you haven't had a lot of rain in Highlands County, that you are where you are supposed to be. Because, again, even though these are isolated in nature, you can see some of the hooks on a couple of these indicating that these are likely on the ground, and these tornadoes are moving into portions of Highlands County. And maybe that particular tornado doesn't hit your county, but I need folks in Highlands County from Lake Placid to Sebring to get inside and stay inside and get into that safe spot.
Yeah, you can see this has now been changed to a confirmed all the way up through Highlands County, and essentially what we've been saying. We're talking about that hook. Just going to want to highlight that. What you're actually looking at is you're looking at a very strong inflow, and that's where you get that little notch in there. You get that hook, and so you've got the tornado right in this area here. You flip over to the velocities, and right there, that is exactly where we're looking at this. And just kind of going back and forth on this. you see it just really hasn't changed that much. I mean, it's maybe a slight bit of weakening, but I mean, this could easily pulse right back up.
West of Okeechobee around Brighton, I need you folks in your interior room, Parker Island, Lake Placid as well. This may stay just to your east, but we're not going to take that chance. Marland, Wild Island, Fort, is it Bassinger? If I pronounced that wrong, my apologies on that. But it's a pretty big circulation, Jim, and it stands to reason, especially you're putting that debris detector on, that there's definitely something on the ground there.
Yeah, anytime you see this change here, we're looking for that debris in the atmosphere, and so you're picking it up at this point. So not only are we seeing it with this cell, but you can really, down in the Glades County, and it's somewhat surprising that this has not been switched over to a confirmed tornado, but this is quite definitely a tornado as well. You look at the velocities on this.
That thing has definitely picked up debris from somewhere.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe further south, and it kind of brought it with it. But that signature, Jim, you're saying it's just, these aren't that far away from each other as well.
No, I mean, let's go ahead and just do a measurement here from one tornado to the other, which is something you never thought you'd be talking about.
I know, they're only 20 miles away from each other.
I mean, and so essentially all through this area, go out a little wider on this to kind of give you just a perspective of where we're talking about. And yeah, this other one, it's not in our area, but this, before you know it, is going to work its way right up into southern Highlands County. So from, say, if you are living south or southwest of Lake Placid, no, you're not under a tornado warning just yet, but you have to watch to your south for this cell here. This one that is currently in Glades County is just on the cusp of working its way into Highlands County. And again, this is moving to the northwest at 35 miles an hour. By the looks of it, this is going to be crossing over into Highlands County in probably about the next maybe 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, and right now it's in an area that is very sparsely populated, and I understand that. But it's getting ready to go closer to Lake Placid, which is a much more highly populated area. And with a signature like that on the radar, and Jim's been showing us that hook, and we're showing you the debris detector. Folks in Highlands County, you need to get into your safe place. Okay, whether you're in northern Highlands County or southern, let's just get inside. Let's just stay inside, because these tornadoes have been whipping up out of very quickly, and they've been holding together as we've been noticing them, which is probably one of the reasons the tornado warning is like 45 minutes long, because they have been holding together,
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this all through the morning. I mean, many of these cells were the same cells that actually created these tornadoes down across Alligator Alley. And I mean, what was that, 2-3 hours ago? So, I mean, these have been showing just more and more of that rotation. And they just really haven't let up. I mean, at some points, you might be getting the actual tornado lifting off the ground, but then they're quite likely coming right back down, because as you look at that debris detector, once again, I mean, it becoming maybe a little bit more obscure, but you're seeing signs that we've got debris, and you definitely have this a bit further to the south as well.
When that debris is lofted up, and the signal is sent out to the radar, it hits that debris, and it notices it's something solid, so it sends back that brighter color. And that's how we know that yellowish color, that green, that there's something else it's detecting besides just rain in there, and it's debris being lofted, whether it's branches or whether it's parts of buildings or trees, we don't know. But that is a sure sign, Jim. And you've been talking right where Highway 27 intersects as you're going down toward LaBelle and Moorhaven. That's where that signature is right now.
Yeah, I mean, because what we're looking for with a weather radar, we're looking for raindrops. And so the radar, it knows what a raindrop looks like. And when it picks up something that is not shaped like a raindrop, we know it's something different, and that's debris. And that's how we can tell. I mean, just the simple science behind how that works is basically we know it's not a raindrop. So what else is there? It's debris. And so that's what we're seeing with that. Just kind of going out wide once again to see what exactly we've got going on here.
And not only, if you look and you see the warnings on there, but we put the radar into motion just for a few minutes, you can see all of this activity sitting out over the Gulf, and all of those thunderstorms, those little, they look like little fingers, don't they? You see them? Any of those can be rotating. Any of those can produce, if you will, a tornado. There are those little fingers there, and it's just, you get this massive friction as these intense winds are wrapping around the storm, and now they've hit the land, and that friction of the land, and you're starting to get that spin, and this is sort of the onset of the whole event, folks, because outside of that, the rain is coming down tremendously heavy from Bradenton southward, and it's now moving over the Skyway. So St. Petersburg and Tampa, that heavy rain is not too far away from you folks as well. You know, Jim's looking at that, you know, the rainfall rate. And Jim, I know it's not going to rain for an hour in one particular spot, but you get an idea, 6.5 inches of rain per hour in that band, 5.7 in the other. You may get a half-hour long band, but you're going to pick up 2 to 3 inches of rain in it.
Yeah, and anytime you get something like this is just that absolutely torrential downpour. I mean, when you're in a storm like this, this is about as heavy of rain you will ever see in your life coming down. So it's just, you can't see more than maybe 20 feet in front of you.
And not only that, but you're throwing in easily some tropical storm force wind gusts to go along with some of those downpours as well. That's when you're really going to see those winds just really ramp up when you're getting into some of those downpours. So while the coastal areas are beginning to get that very heavy rain and the wind is going to start to pick up, it's the inland locations, and we're dealing with the tornado warnings. And this is going to be like this for the next few hours. But the heavy rain along the coast, Jim, and then, of course, the tornadoes right along the coast and inland is sort of the onset as Milton continues its path toward this area.
And you can already see just over the past 12 hours, and I mean, we're just getting started here. And we're already starting to see these rainfall totals along the coastline already at 3 inches, essentially. And now is when we're just basically getting to the point where we're gonna start to really tally up these rainfall amounts very, very quickly, as now the heaviest parts of this is starting to work its way on shore with that first rain band. And again, just watching this tornado warning. This goes until 12:30.
Look at that.
Yeah, it looks like I mean, this is just really
that thing is spinning. There's no doubt about it, too. And that's why Lake Placid south on 27, Lake Placid east to the Highlands County border. I know it is a sparsely populated area, but we've got some wonderful folks that live out there. And I need you guys and gals to stay inside. I need you to get into that interior room. Well, look, just by the looks of the radar, there is a tornado on the ground. It's been confirmed. That's why it's blinking purple. That means it's been confirmed. It's not just a radar indicated now. And even though it might stay east of Lake Placid, I need everybody in that area to get inside the interior room. Jim mentioned it. Throw your TV up on, throw your volume up loud. You can hear us there. You can always catch us to it online. But this is very important for people east of Highway 27, Lake Placid and eastward. I need you guys to get inside and stay inside.
Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of scans here, it may be kind of losing that sign of the debris, and that may just simply because we're much more in a rural area and we're just not picking up as much debris in this. You're still definitely seeing a rotation a little bit more broad right now with this. So, you know, it might be an indication that this is somewhat lifting. It may not. Again, we're very far from the radar site to the actual center of this. So it's something we're just going to continue to watch here as we go through the next few minutes here. Because, I mean, with that one, we've definitely had this history of a tornado in this area, and the signature on this really look impressive, but it does look like as the last couple scans, maybe it could be weakening starting to weaken a little bit, but that certainly does not mean if you're in this spot, you're in the clear. You still want to stay in that safe location with this, because that may just be this scan or two that just isn't showing this as well, and it can ramp right back up as well.
Yeah, if you're watching again from the coast, if you're watching from, you know, from Sarasota County northward, we had a huge line of rain, part of the rain band coming through now. Within that line, we have had some spin-ups. East of that line, you're getting those individual cells, which have been going tornadic as well, as the activity continues to ramp up as Hurricane Milton's on its way. And we've been telling everybody at about lunchtime or so is really when you got to be where you got to be and just stay inside, because now the rain is ramping up, the winds are to follow as well. The core structure of the storm itself probably not going to get here till after dark. I know, tough time, but that's probably when the worst of the weather is going to get here. So right now it's isolated tornadoes, heavy rain bands along the coast.
Okay, you know what I want to do here is I want to do a quick radar tour showing where we are right now, and then we're going to kind of toss back and we're just going to continue to monitor this. But we do have now a confirmed tornado down into Charlotte County and down towards Lee County. This is this area that we've been watching. Now the concern with this is this can quickly work its way up into southern Sarasota County. So a little hard to see right here. We flip over, we look at some of the rotation, and you're seeing many rotations in here where you're looking at some of these green shaded areas. It looks like probably most likely down in this area as well. And this is going to race on towards the north, this moving to the north about 45 miles an hour right now, and then over into Highlands County. That's the other area that is currently inside of our viewing area. And when you look at this, we're still seeing, it looks like it's just crossing over into Highlands County. This one here maybe starting to show a little bit of a weakening trend, but still a very strong rotation with this. When we look at the, we're looking for that debris. We're not seeing as much of a signature with this. So if you're into southern Highlands County, you want to stay in that safe location here. If you're really anywhere across central or southern Highlands County, you want to be playing it safe right now and be away from those doors, be away from the windows in your house. So we've got the one along the coast outside of our viewing area, south of Sarasota. That goes till 12:45. We also have the other one in Highlands County. That goes until 12:30. I think we're just going to continue to monitor these areas here, and if anything changes with any of these, we'll get right back on it and kind of keep you posted on it.
Okay, guys, you got it? Did you get all that?
Yeah.
We got it all.
Every bit of it. Hurricane Helene hit our area less than 2 weeks ago, and people have barely started recovering.
The governor provided an update earlier this morning.
So now we're bearing down to where the storm is going to arrive within the next 24 hours. You still have time to evacuate if you are in an evacuation zone, particularly if you're in Manatee, Sarasota, Charlotte, those areas. I mean, this track can bounce around. It's not guaranteed it's going to hit there. A lot of the solutions have it going there. You have time to do that. Now, conditions aren't going to be great today. I would say that the roads and the interstates, they are flowing. We've waived tolls. We've done all that so people can do. But the best option would probably be just to evacuate within your own county to one of the shelters. All those counties have multiple shelters that are open. There's a lot of space in those shelters right now, and certainly it would be safe to do a very short evacuation, tens of miles, rather than get on the interstate and go. The roads are still open. People can do that, but I just want to warn people that the conditions are likely going to continue to deteriorate throughout the course of the day.
And that was Governor DeSantis just a short time ago. Florida's Department of Emergency Management shared a similar message on X, saying that if you are in an evacuation zone, and this is a quote, "Now is your last chance to evacuate in response to Milton." It says 155 shelters are open throughout the state, including 7 state-operated facilities. And those numbers continue to grow. Local counties opened several new shelters this morning, 3 in Hillsborough, 3 in Pinellas, and 6 in Manatee. And these shelters are starting to fill up fast, too, especially as we enter these final hours before it hits land. 3 storm shelters in Pinellas County have now reached capacity. Largo High School, Leoman Innovation Academy, and the Palm Harbor Innovation Building are all full. County has 11 more shelters that are still accepting residents, though. And we're continuing to update the list of emergency shelters on our website, fox13news.com. You can find them on our county-by-county page. There's also updates from local officials and the latest on evacuations. Again, that's fox13news.com. And don't forget, you can find more storm coverage right in the palm of your hand on our Fox Local mobile app. It's got the latest county updates, even forecast videos from our weather team. You can also stream our live cast. It's free to download for iPhone and for Android users, and it's a great thing to have once the power goes out.
And another option is radio. Several local radio stations are carrying our newscast. You can listen to hurricane coverage on 102.5 The Bone, 97X, and 101.5 The Vibe. And we'll be right back.
When you need a fighter, you need us. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Most insurance companies are big, really big. Imagine you're injured and now you have to fight for justice. Our results and reputation are well known to the other side. As America's largest injury firm, our Army will fight like hell for you. We have the resources to take on the biggest insurance companies in America. When you're fighting to get what you deserve, it's go big or go home. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Wakey, wakey, it's another week of Sunday morning football. Live from London. Two young QBs take the turf in Tottenham. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags face Caleb Williams and the Bears. Set your alarms because this waits for no one. Rise, shine, football. Jaguars, Bears. Sunday at 9:30, only on NFL Network.
People ask me, what is the Farah way? The Farah way is listening, understanding, and helping.
When technology moves forward, we stay ahead of the curve. We don't take no for an answer.
We build the cases that are respected by juries and opposing counsel.
Resources resolve results. If you've been hurt, call Farah and Farah.
Farah and Farah, here for you, here for good.
New aerials of Treasure Island show the once vibrant city now an eerie ghost town. Look at this. Mandatory evacuation orders are in place, with Treasure Island Fire Rescue telling residents to leave the island immediately. Piles of debris still sit on the side of roads, as you can see there. Hurricane Helene brought several feet of storm surge onto the island. Like much of the Bay Area, homes and businesses had just days to assess the damage before Milton developed, only to threaten their communities again.
You know, Russell, we've got a lot of weather to get through, and it's starting to move in now, too, with a heavy, heavy rain band along the coast. And then, Jim, we have some severe weather inland as well.
Yeah, I mean, we just continue to watch more and more of these tornado warnings, and I think that's going to be what we're dealing with much of this afternoon is just tornado warning after tornado warning. Just that big wide view here of this satellite, and you're seeing a lot of lightning in this still. Even near the center of this, you see those little spurts from time to time as this loop goes on, because it's trying to maintain itself, but at this point, it's going to continue to weaken because of the dry air and the wind shear, so it is doing its thing. We just need to do it quicker. Now there's a view there of all the wind shear and the dry, that's the wind shear picking up the storm and just kind of scooting it on towards the north and the east. And we're just kind of jump.
Tornado warning for southwestern Highlands County. They're basically taking that one from near LaBelle, and they're kind of pushing it up. They're moving it. It's near Palmdale. Moving northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So that just came down at about 30 seconds ago.
This is the area here. And I mean, we're getting cluttered with all the tornado warnings in this area. But there you see, this is that area that we were talking about earlier with this cell that was down to the south, basically just to the west of Moorhaven, showing the signs of rotation here. And it is working its way. This is the actual one right here. Let's go ahead and
you know, it's going to be around Lake Placid at about 1240. Again, give or take a minute. So I need folks in Lake Placid to understand that you have a tornado likely to the east of you, and now you have one to the south of you. So that's all the more reason to get into that interior room, because there's one to the east, and Jim, looks like there's one to the south, just based on what the rotation looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about both of these at length here over the past 30 minutes or so, and I mean, they're both still showing very definite signatures. Let's look to see if we're seeing any signs of debris. It does look like, I mean, I'm not seeing it in this one that is now in Highlands County, but this one that is about to come in, still seeing the sign that we likely have some debris being lofted by this.
Yeah, the atmosphere is just it's very violent right now.
Very
and if
turbulent.
you probably go outside, and I don't want you outside, but if you have been, you probably see how fast those clouds are just whipping across as well. You got to understand, there's a major hurricane 150 miles or so off the coast. So everything now is in, this atmosphere is just chaotic as, we push all of this activity up and into the state. We're going to start with these tornado warnings and these heavy rain bands, and then it'll just continue to go downhill from there as the tropical storm force winds will begin to take over later today.
And you look at places like Lake Placid.
We're not going to make another pot. This is going to be the last pot of coffee. Now we're going to switch to something cold.
Right now. You've got
because,
one
yeah,
to your
it's been a
west,
long one. We're almost on 4 hours
which is moving
of coffee.
very close to you, if not on top of you. And then you have yet another one that is just to your east that is doing the same thing. So, I mean, this is... pick which one. You've got them coming from both directions, both coming on top of you, and then you have yet another one. This is, pick which one. You've got them coming from both directions, both
We
coming on
are
top of you.
just rotating just violently and just whipping up these tornadoes, or at least these, and listen, and those, when you see that purple, if you're just joining us, when it blinks purple like that, that means it's confirmed. There's a tornado on the ground, or there was a tornado on the ground, and we've seen multiple of these, and it's kind of early on, because this tornadic threat goes through the afternoon, through the night. The tornado watch is till 9 o'clock tonight, Jim, so we've got a long way to go with this.
And after that will more than likely be extended. It will just be moved. That's why they put a time such as 9 o'clock, because when we get to that point, they'll reassess and they'll see where it is most needed at that point. But a good portion of our area will be dealing with really the threat of these tornadoes as we go through the overnight hours as well. You look also down to our south, down towards Port Charlotte. We've got another confirmed tornado in that area as well. Then working its way up into Sarasota County. You've just got that torrential rain. I want to look at some of the velocities with some of these, because it's just really just off the coastline right here. You see this? You're seeing these signs of some spin in some of these. So quite possibly you've got some water spouts here, which are essentially just 10, 12 miles off the coastline. So these are getting a little too close for comfort, because it doesn't take long for one of these to spin right along the coastline and cause yet more issues.
We were trying to go through the whole weather forecast for you, but these tornado warnings won't let us, but we're doing our best.
I'm sure we're going to get to it at one point. We're going to just talk about the radar a little bit more here. Now, to the north, not to forget any of these areas right now. We're just not focusing on them so much. Let me clear off all the stuff that we've got going on here right now, so we can actually see the radar. Pinellas County, Hillsborough County points north. You've got a lot of rain, but you don't have any of the severe weather threat yet at this point. Although, as you look up just to our north, you're seeing some of these cells up here. You're not seeing any spin in that, but you certainly have some pretty strong cells now working its way up towards Sumter County up into Citrus County, and then you see just kind of this dot. You see all these little cells. So what happens is you get these outer bands, and then as they spiral around, you get these very intense cells. So you see this time and time again. You get, here's one, here's one, here's one. You had a couple of these, but fortunately, none of these showing any signs of any rotation at this point. But work your way into the central and southern portions of Pinellas County, Pinellas Park, right along, say, Tierra Verde, down towards Fort DeSoto, across the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. This is why they've gone ahead and closed the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, because now that this line is moving through, that's something, you just can't drive through something like this. The winds, at this point, they're likely 40, 50 miles an hour in these, down towards Anna Maria, all along the coastline, through Longboat, down in the Lido, down in the Sarasota.
Jim, stay there, watch this. So you were talking about the winds. The winds are gusting to 45 now in St. Petersburg, just from those rain bands coming through.
Exactly. There you see it. Sustained at 35, gusting to 45. And that is just one of these outer rain bands. That is not a tornado. That is not the actual center of this. So conditions will just continue to really deteriorate very quickly. And you see this right now. You look at Sarasota County. It's basically from the northern part of Sarasota all the way down into the southeastern corner of Sarasota County. It is all torrential rain right now.
We're getting to that point, and I know the Skyway Bridge is already closed. Those winds are gusting over 45. How you doing, Valerie? And Jen, the Courtney Campbell and the Howard Franklin. Is that a solid 45-mile-per-hour wind when they would close that, or?
I don't know if it's the wind necessarily, but it's the water pooling up onto the bridge because it's a little bit low-lying bridge. But for the Courtney Campbell, it's Tampa Police Department and Clearwater Police that will determine that closure.
But they're still open as of right now?
They are still open, yes.
Okay, as of right now they are. I just wanted to ask that. Sorry to put you on the spot there.
Okay.
Again, just kind of going back to Southern Highlands County, looking at the rotation in this. Still seeing rotation, I will say, over the past few minutes here. It looks like these are maybe a little bit more broad. Tornado warnings continue. It looks like they just issued yet a new tornado warning for Highlands County once again.
Let me read this off to you.
These are the areas that are just going to continue to see this.
There was a tornado located 7 miles southeast of Lake Ishtakba. I knew I was going to mess that up. My apologies. 11 miles east of Lake Placid, and that is moving north at about 20 miles per hour. A tornado located about 11 miles east of Lake Placid, moving north at 20. So that is the latest warning. What they do is they're kind of fine-tuning these warnings too, as well as they're coming out. They're confirming some. They're just kind of popping up all over the place inland. And again, this is very common with landfalling hurricanes to have these tornadoes pop up. This is not uncommon, especially in some of those heftier rain bands too, which is why we're seeing them along the coast as well. There are multiple areas where we could have tornadic development throughout the rest of the afternoon.
So we're just going to continue to watch these two areas here. I think let's go ahead and let's give much more of the information as well as we continue to watch both of these areas, and then just more of that band working its way through, quite likely, as we try and make our way through this. So we're going to end up seeing some more warnings as well. But this is now the 12 p.m. advisory. Winds still at 145 miles an hour. It's moving to the northeast at 17 miles an hour. That location puts us 175 miles to the southwest of us here in Tampa. So this is still a Category 4 hurricane. The wind shear, that will continue to weaken this more as we go through the rest of the afternoon, heading into this evening. But even with that, this is still going to continue to be an extremely dangerous, extremely destructive hurricane, especially as you get on that right-hand side, on that southern side. That's where we have the biggest potential for that surge. You see the track right now really hasn't shifted all that much, and we've been talking about this. When you see us go through time and we get closer and closer to the event, you see the cone starts to narrow. Remember, this cone only has to deal with the air and where we expect the actual center to move through. This has absolutely nothing to do with the effects. The effects extend well beyond this. We've talked about this at length. On that southern side of this, where we're going to see the storm surge. We're going to see the strongest winds. But even on this northern side, which quite often we talk about that left-hand side, the weaker side of the storm, and it is going to be relatively weaker, but still, we actually have a cold front that's working its way down over the state. And so this is somewhat of an unusual situation because now Milton is starting to interact with this cold front. So that's why we're starting to see it weaken because of the wind shear. We're starting to see that some of it being eroded away because of the dry air. But it allows for that northern side that is interacting with this cold front to actually ramp up a little bit stronger than it normally would be. And we also see a lot more rain on that northern side. That's why we're going to see so much more of a threat north of the track with the heavy rainfall. And the rainfall amounts that we're talking about between 5 to 12 inches of rain, and we could see some areas up to 18 inches of rain. So if you look at this track line and you see, hey, I'm on the northern side, I'm on that left-hand side of this as it's moving, that's the areas that we're most likely going to see the heaviest rain with this that extends all the way across the state through Orlando, all the way over to the Cape and heading out into the Atlantic. These are the areas that are going to see the heaviest rain with this. And to talk more about the winds that we're currently seeing with this, this and more of these impacts as far as a storm surge. Dave, I know you're sitting there ready to take that over.
You know, Jim, as I'm sitting here looking at these forecast points, the forecast point tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. puts this as a Category 1 hurricane right along or close to I-95. So I'm assuming this is the 8 p.m. point over here. The storm is moving quicker. The forecast path early this morning actually had it making landfall close to 2 a.m. It's going to be quicker than that because, I mean, if you just do a calculation, 175 miles southwest of Tampa, moving northeast at 17, what, about 10 hours? Okay, but if this is going to make landfall to the south, it would be sooner than that. So it's likely to be before midnight we make this landfall, and then we push those hurricane force winds completely across the state. We talked about these winds that are gusting to 47 now in St. Pete. I got 39 in Clearwater, so we're getting there with those tropical storm force wind gusts. The sustained tropical storm force winds are still a bit to the south, but they'll eventually move in. Now, as it makes landfall, this is exactly what the Hurricane Center is forecasting. In these red shaded areas, Tampa to Orlando, hurricane force winds gusts maybe over 100 miles per hour, depending upon how strong the storm is when it makes landfall and exactly. Then 110 mile per hour winds going across the state, but they'll be weakening as they do. My point is this. Most of Central Florida will have at least strong tropical storm force winds, if not hurricane force wind gusts, much later tonight. When we had Helene move through, it was basically storm surge. It was almost all storm surge, a little bit of wind. This time it's going to be bigger storm surge on and where the storm makes landfall to the south, okay? Plus 6 to 12 inches of rain, isolated 18, plus hurricane force wind gusts, plus tornadoes. We have a lot of different aspects of this storm. And throughout the entire viewing area, each of you are going to experience something different. Some of you more aspects than others, but everybody will experience something. Where the storm makes landfall into the south, that 10 to 15 foot storm surge. So if you kind of look at the storm surge potential, this is based on the current forecast. You can see as you're getting southward, you're getting up to 6 foot of inundation in parts of Holmes Beach, Bradenton Beach, over to Cortez, if this plays out exactly as the forecast track says. And once you're getting down into Siesta Key, now you're looking at the 9 feet of inundation with the current forecast. And then as you're going south from there, you're getting into the Charlotte Harbor area. They're going to have a big inundation as well. So storm surge, even though the storm surge may be lower in Tampa Bay, the heaviest rains are north of the center, which really puts Tampa, Orlando, all the way to Daytona Beach in this high chance of excessive rain. These high rain chances, these high excessive rain chances, they're not issued a lot, but we have a lot of Central Florida in that. So 6 to 12 inches of rain with isolated amounts to 18 inches. So that is going to cause a problem in of itself. Plus the storm surge on and south to where it makes landfall, and the winds, and of course those isolated tornadoes. Let me show you something real quick. We got time, right? We got all the time in the world right now. So as this storm is approaching the coast, notice something. Where is all the rain? It's north. It's not to the south because that drier air, that wind shear is eating up this western side. So it's forcing everything up to the north. So 11 o'clock tonight from Tampa north, I mean, it's just going to be that blinding rain and wind as well, with more wind to the south. Notice as we're getting into the morning hours, as the rain pushes out, the tropical storm force winds may hang on till early on Thursday morning, and then things will start to get better. I know we still have all kinds of stuff going on the radar, but we've talked for about 40 minutes, Russell and Laura, so we'll give it back to you guys for a couple of minutes, okay? And then if we have another tornado warning, we'll jump right back in with you, okay?
Yeah, it's important. It's
Right,
important.
Thank you. Well, our inland areas will be experiencing impact from Hurricane Milton, too.
By the time it reaches Polk County tonight and overnight, it will still be a hurricane. Fox 13's Carla Byron is in Polk County right now with the latest.
Yeah, the window to make last-minute preparations is closing. Milton is expected to impact Polk County during the day with tropical storm force winds. Later tonight, that's when the hurricane force winds are expected, which may reach 70 to 90 miles per hour. The flood threat has actually increased significantly since yesterday. Rain totals of 6 to 18 inches are being forecasted. There will be downed trees, which can damage homes, as well as downed power lines. People will lose electricity. If you live in a manufactured home, officials say to try and seek shelter elsewhere, stay with a friend or maybe a member of your church, or if you have no other choice, stay at one of the 19 county designated emergency shelters, which can house 38,000 people total. So far, there are 2,800 people at those shelters right now, so there's still plenty of room. There are pet-friendly and special needs shelters as well.
There's parts of this county that have flooded in the past. We have no way to accurately predict where flood impacts to homes and businesses will occur, but if those areas have flooded in the past, assume that they're going to flood again in this hurricane today. So again, it's important to get out. If you're going to another location, do that quickly.
With widespread flooding, officials are concerned about their regional wastewater treatment systems, so they're asking customers to reduce their use of water as much as possible, beginning 48 hours prior to then through the storm to help reduce pressure on wastewater systems. So what you can do is reduce the length of showers, limit flushing of toilets, don't run dishwashers, and don't do laundry unnecessarily. Now, when the hurricane has passed, officials are urging people to just stay off of the roads, to stay at home, because they want emergency officials and first responders to be able to help people and basically just be able to do their jobs. In Lakeland, Carla Byron, Fox 13 News.
We receive lots of emails from concerned viewers trying to get information about their specific area. And we're getting to each of our local counties throughout the coverage of Milton.
In the meantime, there are ways to access that information if you did miss it. Walter is here now to show us how.
Laura Russell, good morning to you. Shelters, evacuation zones, closures. All of this information right here, fox13news.com. That's our website, constantly updating it. And I wish I had a camera. We could have gone into the newsroom. There's about 5 or 6 people standing by, and they're updating this constantly. Now, to view it, all you have to do is visit fox13news.com, go to the homepage. Then you can scroll down to the county-by-county guide. You click that, and you'll find a link to your specific county. So, for example, let's go to Pinellas County. You see evacuation zones, emergency shelters, closures, links to the county for more information. And then back on our homepage, you'll also find a link to watch us live on your phone, as well as track the latest hurricane track and a lot more information. Now, again, all this information is on our website, fox13news.com. If some of you, when the power goes out, you can access all the same information on the Fox Local mobile app. It has the latest county updates, even forecast videos from the weather team. You can also stream our live newscast. It's free to download on iPhone and Android phones, and get it set up now while your phone has a charge.
All right, Walter, thank you.
You bet.
Another option if you lose power, the radio. Several local radio stations are carrying our newscasts. You can listen to our hurricane coverage on 102.5 The Bone, 97X, and 101.5 The Vibe. And we'll be right back. Manatee County, it's a race against the clock at the Cortez Fishing Village.
And Fox 13's Kim Quizon explains why.
It's not just people getting their homes ready. We're out here at the Cortez Fishing Village, and there's still last-minute preparations as some of the commercial fishermen down here work to secure their boats and make sure their livelihood will be okay. Joining me now is Kent Nixon.
Yes.
Kent, you've been a commercial fisherman here in Cortez for how many years?
45 years.
We have seen a lot over the last 2 weeks. What are you expecting to see as Milton passes us?
It really depends upon where that eye goes over us. If it happens to go south of us, we're only going to get maybe 5 or 6 foot surge. But if it happens to come directly over us, 10 foot, and that's above my hand. Not good at all. We've moved a lot of our boats around to another harbor to try and protect them. I decided to stay here with one of mine. That way we have multiple locations so we won't lose them all.
Cortez Fishing Village here is really the backbone of the community when you think about not only tourism, but the fish that we get. How important is it that we get this back up and running and help fishermen no matter what we face?
We've already made up our minds. If we do get wiped out, we'll rebuild. We've already made up our minds. We hope that doesn't happen, and we hope the damage is minimal, but we're expecting it to be pretty bad. We really are. And it's the lifeblood of the community. That's where all our dollars come from. It's where people, work. It's everything for us.
Can you talk about, too, I'm looking at the streets with Helene, a lot of people didn't leave Cortez. Are we seeing a different shift this time?
Oh, absolutely. The vast majority of them left already. There's 1 or 2 that decided to stay. I'm going to leave myself, and it's the first time in my life that I've ever actually left for a storm, and I think it's going to be that bad. The last storm was really bad. I think it surprised a lot of people, the flood level, even though people like myself had told them it was going to be really bad, but some of them stayed. And most of the houses got 3-4 foot of water in them. I'm sure you already know and all. But our boats are our livelihoods. That's what we're really trying to protect. Most of our gear, luckily, is still on the hill, and we haven't put it in the water for stone crab season. So that'll help us a little bit. That'll give us something to start with anyway after the storm.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate everything that you're doing. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Well, you can see down here at the Cortez Fishing Village, again, this is their livelihood. There's still a couple hours that they're going to work, protect the boats that they haven't moved. And then just from here, it's wait and see. And we're hoping that the fishing village will still be standing, that the AP Bell Fish Company will still be here. But really, we're just going to have to wait and see when dawn breaks tomorrow. For now, we're in Cortez. Kimberly Quizon, Fox 13 News.
We're liable to see a lot at dawn tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I mean, the sights that we're going to see are something that we never thought we were going to see here. I mean, we've had this worry. I mean, when we do our hurricane specials every year, we talk about that worst case scenario. We talk about 1921. We talk about 1848, that worst case of what we could see here. Now, with the track going just to our south, we may be spared some of that storm surge in Tampa Bay, but this is still going to be basically as bad as we ever anticipated we could have here, and quite likely even worse.
So you're saying it's been over 100 years since we've had anything like this happen in our area?
Yes, it has. I mean, so essentially there's nobody alive that has seen this in here that remembers it at this point. So I mean, this is generational right here. Just kind of give you a perspective.
I know you've got to get to your weather, but think about the difference in the population here in 100 years.
Exactly.
I mean,
the build-up, the infrastructure, the number of people, the homes, and just how many more people.
So densely populated.
I mean, we've got the technology that helps us with this, but at a certain point, you can't get everything out of the way. You can't get everybody out of the way. You do the best that you can, but it's really worrisome. And at this point, you hope and you pray that with Helene, that anybody that saw what happened with that along the coastal communities, especially, they're out of there. You just don't want anybody to have that idea that, you know what, I've got to protect my home. I mean, when you have this much power, there's nothing you can do as a human to stop it. So why be there?
Yeah.
You're just not going to stop it.
Yeah.
So get out of there. But we're watching that wind shear. It's doing its thing. Unfortunately, it's not going to do it fast enough to weaken this to any level that it's going to make this manageable manageable. So this is still a catastrophic situation. You look as the loop goes on, it's just amazing how strong this storm has been, that you're seeing all that lightning around the center from time to time. Anytime you see all that lightning, that's an indication of a really strong storm. When you see it right near the center, it's been trying to hold that eye together. But early this morning, around 7:30, hurricane reconnaissance plane. By the way, there's just about at all times now 2 planes flying in this system. As they made their way through, they had a closed eye. About an hour and a half later, they flew through, and they noted that it was now an open eye on that southern side. That is an indication. The shear, the dry air, we're starting to see that weakening trend, but the weakening trend, it comes with trade-offs, because the wind field with this is going to continue to expand. And still, from the center of this into the south, it is still going to be devastating as far as that wind with this, devastating as far as that storm surge as this works its way onshore. But here is that wind, and this is extending down over the storm. That's that strong upper level wind. It blows the top of the storm, it disrupts the circulation, and that is what weakens it, but it also somewhat elongates the storm. So that's why you're seeing all this weather in advance of it. And then on top of all that, we actually have a cold front which is pushing down, and you start to get the interaction between Milton and the cold front, and that's what's going to really tend to enhance the rainfall. And that's why we're talking about this swath through here of really intense rain. We're likely going to see flash flooding in many areas. 5 to 12 inches of rain, and possibly some areas up to 18 inches of rain. Sky Tower radar just continues to show this very intense band of rain. You see the warnings down here. This is down in the Charlotte County. You see the purple shaded warning. That is a confirmed tornado. This is moving about 40 miles an hour to the north. So over towards Arcadia, down into DeSoto County. Have to watch this very closely, because it not take much time for that to work its way onto the north. And then over towards Lake Placid, moving over to right near Sebring as well. You've got one warning just to the south of Sebring, right towards Lake Placid, and then you have this other one. These are 2 areas, this one further to the east. For a time, that was a confirmed tornado, but still showing really strong signs that this is rotating. And so we're going to continue to watch these areas very closely as well, because after they move through Highlands County, they work their way up into Polk County, so over into eastern Polk County, into southeastern Polk County as well. And you're just seeing more of these strong bands working their way along the coastline. And the center of this storm, go out wider on this, and you can see it's still a ways offshore. This is still probably about 130 miles off the coastline, but we're going to continue to watch it very closely, because now that the center is on radar, we can really keep a very close eye. We watch for those wobbles, because at this point, we're done with the computer modeling, essentially. We're not watching for that forecast track to change significantly. What we're waiting for and watching for is if we get any of those wobbles with this. And those wobbles, they could ever so slightly change who gets the worst part of this. But at a point with that storm surge, those wobbles can make all the difference in the world on just exactly who gets this. But essentially, from the coastline of Manatee County down through Sarasota County, that looks like that is going to be the worst portions of this right now as we go through the afternoon. So winds right now, 145 miles an hour, currently moving to the northeast at 17 miles an hour. We do see still a little bit of that weakening trend, but still at 8 o'clock tonight, has not made its way on shore, but we're still looking at 125 miles an hour, Category 3, and as